Ready?
She's going to give us a countdown,
Great. One,
and then I'll wait a few seconds. Okay.
two. Good. Here we go. One, two, three.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Business as Usual. This is Audrey Russo, and I'm the President and CEO of the Pittsburgh Technology Council. I'm thrilled at our guest today, and I really think everyone needs to sit tight because we are really in for such an interesting ride in terms of what we have right here in our backyard, because we have a chance to meet Luke Skurman, founder and CEO of Niche. So give us a second. I'm just going to lay us up, and then we're going to jump in and have a conversation with Luke. We're also here with Jonathan Kersing on our team. He's Vice President of all things media and marketing, and he will be joining us in managing the chat. And I just want to give shout outs to Sheets, Deloitte, and Huntington for being with us on this journey and knowing that everything we do in terms of tethering the tech community and making sure that we're proud and nurturing all the work that people are doing across our ecosystem. And I want to tell you that we've muted your mics. We've muted your mics on purpose so that we don't hear some of the noise in the background. And I hope my dogs will behave as they haven't been the last few days. But just be mindful of that. There's a chat, an opportunity to ask Luke some questions. He totally welcomes that. But also it's an opportunity for you to just figure out, he's going to share some information, about Niche occasionally as we go through the chat so that you can see some of the data sources as well as some information about Niche. So there'll be some multitasking. So we're pretty thrilled. I'm going to jump in and also tell you to go to our website, pghtech.org, and you're going to see all the things that we're working on each and every day in addition to business as usual. We have lots of things going on. We have a Chief Information Officer Insight Series. We actually hope to play golf. We have the Athena Award to International, and I believe that the finalists have been shared as of last night. So we are busy really making sure that this community stays tethered and stays informed. So I'm going to jump in and I'm going to tell you that we are here with Luke Skurman. Luke Skurman, I mentioned earlier, he's the founder and CEO of Niche, and we will put that link right out there so that you can see it and you can see what's going on and you can multitask easily. So I'm going to jump in and I'm going to say, it's great to have you here, Luke. It's amazing what you're doing in the city and for our region, but what you're doing around the world. I'm totally blown away by the number of people and the work that you're doing, and you really are the preeminent source for all things schools, colleges, and now even neighborhoods. So I am going to just step back. I'm going to jump in and I'm going to say thank you. And Luke, tell us about Niche.
Well, Audrey, thank you for having me. It's really exciting to be here today, and I'm excited to engage with this group. It looks like we have 68 people, which is really exciting. So I'm thrilled to be invited to be here today. So Niche, we're the largest platform in the United States for researching and enrolling in K through 12 schools and colleges. And our mission is to make researching and enrolling in schools easy, transparent, and free. So we've got all the hard data, the quantitative feedback, and we've got all the qualitative user-generated content as well. So over the last 12 months, we've had over 100 million visits to our website. 1 in 2 high school seniors is registered for our platform to go look at and research and enroll in schools and colleges. We've got 140 million reviews and opinions. We've got every single pre-K school, K through 12 school, college, grad school, trade school on our platform, Catholic schools, charter schools, school districts, public schools, all different types of schools on the platform, really trying to give families and parents and students a good sense of what a place at a school is really like. We're doing really well today. We're 130 full-time employees. We're based in the Strip District. We're growing really fast. Yeah, it's a very exciting time right now, and I'm excited to kind of go deep today.
Well, let's just reel back really quickly. You've been working on this and you've had just, it's been a journey. Okay. It's been a journey. While your work is so glorious and so, you really are building something that's massive. Just give us a little bit about the journey so that people understand what it's like to build a company and, just a little snapshot about the journey.
Sure. So
go back to 2002.
Thank you, Jonathan. It has been a long journey with a lot of ups and downs, some high highs and some low lows. But yeah, it's been an 18-year journey. So I'm going to try to go through 18 years in 2 or 3 minutes here. I'm going to keep it pretty broad and pretty high level. So the company was originally, the brand name was called College Prowler, and it was great for the high school students. We rebranded to Niche in 2013. We wanted to create a brand that was more universal than just colleges, and also, it could allow us to move into other markets more easily. But when we started off as College Prowler, it was a book publishing company, and it was really providing insider content on one book per college. So one book on Harvard, one book on Yale, one book on Stanford. And we'd go into we'd create a recipe. So we'd cover academics, we'd cover parking, we'd cover diversity, we'd cover athletics. We'd start with some key statistics. So how much does the parking cost on campus? What do the students say about parking? Here's a letter grade summarizing parking and kind of a 2-paragraph summary summarizing it all up. And we'd create every single college the same way. And so from 2002 to 2007, that was our only revenue stream, was selling physical books. And we sold 500,000 books, millions of dollars in revenue, Barnes & Noble, Borders, Books A Million, Amazon. The book industry was obviously imploding. It was a really challenging time where everyone was going to the internet to do research. And the book industry, literally our largest client, maybe 2008 was Borders Books. They're bankrupt. Barnes & Noble's just got bought by private equity a year and a half ago. Books they're really a fraction of what they used to be. Then we started digitizing all the content and started charging for paid online subscription access. And it was moderately successful. Frankly, most people believe content should be free. You're starting to see some content businesses do well, Netflix, Spotify, New York Times, but it's very difficult to get users to pay for content. We finally made the website free and the traffic really began to rise. That was in 2010, and we were still focused just on colleges. By 2012, we had 25% of every high school senior in the United States had an account on our website. So just to make sure we're on the same map there, 4 million high school seniors, 3.2 million graduate every year, 2.5 million go to a 4-year college. And we had about 600,000 of those 2.5 million register on our site by 2012. And then we had aspirations to be much bigger than that. And that's when we rebranded to Niche. And we wanted to go in the K through 12 space, K through 12 schools. We felt like there was so much to do there and there was a lot of traffic there. And we said, can we bring our recipe of user-generated content, rankings, and data? Can we do that to a second market? And we were really successful pretty quickly. And then we moved into places to live where a school decision was often interconnected to a neighborhood, and the suburb decision and the price of a home was often correlated to the quality of the school district. So by 2014, we had every school, every college, every neighborhood, every suburb on the site. And we just kept creating momentum. By 2016, another big moment there was we finally brought in we vertically integrated our sales force. We developed an inside sales force, and we had product engineering sales. By the time we were really more outsourcing sales with the channel partner. And the combination of all those really got us to grow. And then we've launched an app, and we have grad schools, and we have some content on workplaces as well. And that kind of really brings us to today. So today we've got every month about 10 million people on the site. 60, 70 million unique Americans were on the platform last year. And we're really becoming the leader in helping families research and enroll in schools and colleges across the country.
I say own it. You are. Just own it. It's great. And we're proud. And you built it in Pittsburgh, and you could have built it anywhere else. So that piece is pretty incredible. But we'll get into that in a moment. Let's talk about the various factors that you evaluate, both K through 12 and colleges, and share about, the key data. and the framework, this open architecture that you built?
Sure. So on our platform, all of our grades and our rankings and our methodology, it's all there. So you can see exactly how we're grading colleges, and you can see our weights and our methodology. We want to be completely transparent about that. But we use some open source data, whether it's Department of Education, Census, FBI data, Brookings, and then our own content and data from our own users. So it's the combination of all of that is how we're really using to provide our rankings on what the schools and the colleges are really like.
So, you know, here we are at like this in most incredible time in over 100 years with the virus and with all the changes that are happening with schools. Parents and students are facing, you know, uncertain times, and we're right at the brink of it. I mean, this is happening any moment. So this whole return to work and the return to school. Can talk about some of the trends that you're seeing in your data and share, you know, talk about anecdotally as well as anything that you have, you know, qualitatively or quantitatively.
Sure. So we just did the most extensive survey in the United States, researching and surveying high school students, college students, and parents. We got over 100,000 respondents. It was picked up in the New York Times, CNBC, LA Times, and there was 3 big themes that we saw. So number one was families and students were reevaluating their school choices in the fall. So where they thought they were going, they were really rethinking things. They were really thinking about value in dollars and ROI, and thinking about, I wanted to be closer to home. The second big theme was, if I'm a current student at a school or a college, if I don't feel that my institution is handling this process well, communicating with me, feeling like I'm getting a good value, I'm going to reconsider attending there and transferring out of there. And the third big theme that we saw was, overall, the efficacy of online learning was not as strong as traditional learning. People preferred traditional learning. Those were the 3 big themes that we saw. And then as we're kind of coming now into the fall here, and schools are really about to get set to open up. I mean, anecdotally, yeah, the schools are in a difficult position. They really are. They are trying to make sure that they're thinking about all their families. Some are offering online only options. Some are offering hybrid options. Some are in-person only. They're all at different places right now. It is a very it's inconsistent. It is, and they're all doing their best to try to manage it to the best they can right now. It's a hard time for them. They're getting it from a lot of different places right now. It's hard for them.
Do you see any regional trends or anything like by city? Are you seeing anything that might be interesting to our listeners to know about what's happening? It's, you know, is there more inquiry in one region versus another? Are there any trends? And the reason I ask this, Luke, is because I'm interested, because people are working from home now, right? So I'm always interested to see, are people moving? Are people thinking about moving? Are they, if they can work remotely, what does that mean? So that's sort of where my head's going in the conversation.
I don't think we've seen that yet in our data, even though we work with schools across the country. I don't think that there's something that we're seeing that's a regional trend. You're seeing, you know, at the highest level, like at the Ivy Leagues, the Harvards and the Yales of the world, they have announced that there will be no varsity sports in the fall, that there will be no campus for the bulk of their students in the fall. That is not consistent. You've seen a lot of colleges want to push up the start dates of school earlier and try not to have them go back to school after Thanksgiving when they're worried that it could accelerate. But you're not seeing things completely standard nationally or regionally right now.
Wow. So that's sort of crazy. So public schools versus private schools. What about that? Any?
Yeah, so I think again, very challenging. I mean, public schools, one of their mantras, which I completely agree with, and they should have, is to be as inclusive and as equitable as possible. And that being said, though, there are families that come from different backgrounds about access to internet, access to technology, and that is not making it easy to create a universal system for all students at a given school district. Public schools, I think, have tended to do more asynchronous communication. Um, and then the private schools, I think, are trying to really do a bit more of the synchronous communication. But no, again, I think they're all doing their absolute best right now, and they're all trying to, battle through this right now.
So you even include in your database cyber schools?
Yes, we do. And we're actually seeing an increase in demand for high school students looking to go to online colleges, K-12 parents thinking about cyber schools for their sons or daughters. Online education in general is getting more interest than ever right now.
Wow. So there's a couple, I think there's one or two questions, John, if you want to grab that.
Definitely. First and foremost, I love this question from Liz. Have you collaborated with BlastPoint, one of our favorite companies at the Tech Council?
Unfortunately, we have not yet collaborated with BlastPoint. That's something that we haven't quite done yet.
If you need intros, let us know. We can make that happen. So from Anita, who wants to know, do you expect several small private schools closing due to the challenges with enrollment, especially those independent or international students?
The Wall Street Journal predicted that 200 colleges will close over the next 10 years.
Yep.
There are some folks that believe that was conservative. It could even be worse than that. But you're seeing universities right now where they don't necessarily have the same level of athletic revenue, dining revenue, parking revenue, housing revenue. And even though colleges had been increasing tuition, let's say at the rate of inflation, if not higher, that many colleges have still really been struggling. They have, but on the same side, the families are struggling well. That there's more college debt now in the United States than there is credit card debt. So both the institutions and the families, they're both struggling. They really are. Where again, I think you are going to see, unfortunately, some schools are going to have a hard time getting through this. We want all the schools to succeed. That's really our goal, but I don't think that's possible. I think that some will have a hard time getting to the other side on this. I do think that's a fair reality right now.
We've got a great question from John Ingram here, Audrey. Wants to know, can colleges develop leads from the information gathered by visitors to Mitch's website?
They can, yeah. That's one of the services that we work with schools on. So we have 1,500 schools and colleges that we work with to help them enhance their brand, drive more applications, and ultimately drive them more enrollments. So we're working with here locally in Pittsburgh, a Shadyside Academy, a St. Edmunds, an Ellis School, a Central Catholic, a Carnegie Mellon, a Chatham, a Robert Morris, a Grove City College, and then nationally in NYU, a Columbia, a Vanderbilt, a University of Chicago. We're working with colleges and K-12 schools all across the country. But yes, many places are thinking about how they can help get in front of our audience. We have all this traffic and all this data. And historically, as a sector, education had underinvested in digital. A lot of college fairs, a lot of direct mail. This was a sector that had underinvested in digitally. So thematically, it's one of the largest sectors in the economy. It's $1 trillion a year is spent annually on education, 70 million students in the US education system. But it had underinvested digitally. And now you're seeing many parents are millennials. The students are Gen Z. It's all mobile first. And the way that they had done their marketing and enrollment and admissions, it's changing very quickly, and COVID is accelerating everything right now. We were already having success, and now we're seeing even more success right now. So it's actually helping us, and many colleges are coming to us in a big way. You've seen the SAT and the ACT be canceled right now. This is typically when a college would start to build pipeline with the rising seniors and the rising juniors. And we've been working with some great new colleges that are trying to modify their strategies right now.
Aren't some colleges actually not requiring the SATs?
Oh
Okay.
yeah, most schools are completely going test optional in the fall. And then the state of California just created a new law that over the next 5 years, they will completely phase out the SAT and the ACT for citing equitability and inclusive issues, where there's a feeling that the wealthier, more affluent families can pay for the SAT tutors and have more resources, and they inherently can score higher on the test. And so there had been a feeling that it was not a fair test. So the state of California, this is regardless of COVID, they have moved away and they will not be using it in any capacity over the next, after 5 more years here. And there's a lot of debate for a lot of colleges to act similarly as well.
Mm-hmm. There's another question from Anita.
I'll tee it up here. Yeah. So how is Mitch's information on prospective students different from that of the Education Advisor Board? Many schools use EAB for market insight.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the fundamental difference is that EAB does not have a consumer-facing portal. So they do not have a site where users, students, and parents are actually doing the research. So we work closely with both the schools and with the users. We're on both sides of the marketplace. EAB is more B2B focused. They're a great organization. They were bought recently by one of the top private equity firms in the country, Vista, for over $1 billion. They're one of the big players in the space, but they do not really have a consumer-facing side, and that's something that we absolutely do.
So let's see, there's one more question from Tracy Brown, and then I'm going to jump into a question.
Sure. So Tracy, one of our regular participants here, what extension plays for your business, excuse me, back up here. What extension plays for your business do you see coming? Data from alumni, that is another metric. A play to provide standard next door experience to colleges for use on campuses. Tracy, you've seen a number of small plays or proprietary attempts at this, but curious.
Sure, the couple things that we're really thinking through. So we believe we want all of these education decisions to be on niche. So unfortunately right now we have 40 million Americans that are unemployed right now. And history has shown us that when Americans are unemployed, they go back to education to reskill themselves. So whether you're going to get a certificate, an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, we want all of those choices to be on niche. If it's a high school student and they're now thinking about going online instead of traditional, if it's a boot camp, all of those choices, we want them all to live on niche. And then beyond that, yes, it's great that the research is being done on our platform, on niche, on our app, and on niche.com, but we want to be able to help users manage more of the process and ultimately get to the point where they're managing their application, and ultimately then they're going to apply directly on niche, and moving them through the entire process and making it seamless. Instead of driving clicks, we're going to drive completed applications to the schools and then make it effortless and easier for the families as well. It's very, there's a lot of friction in the process, even though it's one of the most expensive decisions that a family will go through. It is not a very user-friendly process right now.
That's exciting. Very cool.
So, Luke, let's just talk about, in addition to your work at Niche, you have been, and here's a question about how do you interface with the Common App? You want to answer that, and then I'm going to jump in.
So we don't really interface with the Common App a little bit. Sometimes, we work with the school and we can try to prove to them how many applications we sourced. But right now, the Common App is a great organization. You can now apply to more than 1,000 different colleges through that, but we don't have a direct partnership with them.
So Luke, in addition to your work at Niche, you've also been very active in the community, and I really want to have a little bit of a discussion about your views on the ecosystem. But you've done things. You've helped, found Thrill Mill and Thrival, and done other things in the community. I knew through Big Brothers and Big Sisters, et cetera. Talk about that.
Yeah. So, it's always been an honor to start a company here in Pittsburgh, and I always felt supported. But I always wanted to create local impact and to roll up my sleeves and feel like I'm not just a business leader, but I'm helping push things forward. So over my career since I graduated in college in 2002 from Carnegie Mellon, I've been a volunteer Big Brother. I did that for 8 years. I was on their board of directors for a similar amount of time. I was on the board of directors for the Sprout Fund. I've been on the board of trustees at Carnegie Mellon for the last 12 years. I've been on the board of directors for Ascender, which was previously Thrill Mill, and helped start Thrival as well. But yeah, I've been trying to be as active and as involved as possible. There's a lot of different opportunities here in Pittsburgh where they just want people to run with it, and the doors are open. And it's been cool to be allowed to have a seat at the table and to try to create some positive impact here. But yeah, I've tried to make my mark a little bit and make Pittsburgh better. And it's been fun to do that.
Well, you know, a couple of things is you just, during the peak of our shutdown, you were able to secure a round of funding that was pretty substantial for Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, we just in all candor, we did close on it right before the pandemic. We announced it after the pandemic, but it was a $35 million Series C financing that was led by Radian Capital in New York City, with participation from Salesforce Ventures, Allen and Company, and Tim Armstrong, who's the former CEO of AOL and Yahoo and the president of Google.
So, okay, so it wasn't really that. Well, we were excited because we heard it during COVID, and we said, against all odds, there he goes. Let's talk about the ecosystem, though, the whole ecosystem of entrepreneurship and innovation, because here's a company and that is at the, you're sort of at the beginning, I would say, of putting Pittsburgh on the map. And the opportunity is immense. We're talking about you being the equivalent of a Yelp, you being the equivalent of a Zillow, right? That's what's sitting right here in Pittsburgh. You've got 100 and maybe 50 people. And yet we don't have many of those in Pittsburgh. We really don't. And you've been around almost 2 decades watching this, being a part of it and trying to nurture it. What are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? What do you want to use this opportunity to tell us?
I mean, so first of all, I think thematically, there's some unbelievably talented people in the region here. I was in Atlanta in October, and they now have, they're a bigger metro than us. They are, and they have a larger corporate community, but they now have 100 technology companies that have 100 employees or more, and
Wow.
50 of them have a valuation north of $100 million. We're not talking about Austin or Boulder or San Francisco or New York City or LA. We're talking about Atlanta. And yes, they have Georgia Tech and Emory, but we've got Pitt and we've got Carnegie Mellon. And I think there's several things here. One is, Pittsburghers in general have been a little risk averse. They're a little heads down, but we are really talented, and there's really great people here. There's a reason that Apple, Facebook, Google, Uber, Amazon, there's a reason they're all here. They want the talent here that exists. There's brilliant people that live and work here and go to school here. But I think that if we look at the ecosystem, from maybe $0 to $100,000 of capital as you're getting started, I think that's beginning to happen now. You can get your idea off the ground and you can get going. And then it becomes challenging the next 2 bites. I would say $250,000 to $500,000. You've proven a little bit and you're ready to keep going on. It gets harder to get that money. And then kind of the $1 to $2 million is very challenging. And then when you're ready for the $5, $10, $20 million, you can access capital in Pittsburgh or outside of the market. But it's that $250 to $2 million. Mm-hmm. That's where we're breaking down right now. That's where the pipeline is breaking right now. And then we're just not getting enough built right now. And then I think, again, aspirationally, we've had some really exciting companies get started, but some of them have decided, for better or for worse, to exit on the earlier side and to not really go long and really go deep. And when you go a little bit longer and bigger and deeper, then you have a chance to create some more liquidity for more employees to then become angel investors and to start their next company and to make the ecosystem run faster and faster. You know, Free Markets was one of the last IPOs here in Pittsburgh. It was about 20 years ago now, about 2000. You've got some great companies doing well, Argo AI and Duolingo and some other Aurora. But we need more people that are in the technology space and in this economy getting ready to get excited to start companies and to invest. We just need more of that. We do. And we need the community to sometimes just frankly care a little bit more too. You know, it's great to talk about local politics. It's great to talk about the Steelers and the Penguins. It's great to talk about the weather, but you know, you can see right now that the technology, it's not GE and Disney and Procter and Gamble that are having real success in COVID right now. It's the technology companies are continuing to grow very fast and create massive amounts of value right now. And it's the future. It really is. And we have all the pieces in play here. We just got to somehow push a little bit harder and push a little bit more forward right now.
Well, sometimes success begets success, right? So the more that we have entrepreneurs and angel investors feel some success, that's, you know, and because we've been historically a big company town, we probably haven't given birth to people like you. And, you know, sometimes time doesn't wait for anyone. And that's the problem.
It doesn't. And you're seeing DC and Philly and Chicago and Nashville and all these other cities, they're stepping up their game as well. They're all getting stronger.
Right.
And if anything, we were probably in the top 5, top 10 position for a while. And I think we're regressing right now. I just have to be honest about that, our position in the market right now. And we have to push forward right now. We have the -- AI, machine learning, robotics institution in the world in our backyard. It's incredible. We've got one of the best hospitals and the amount of data that's coming out of UPMC and Pitt. It's incredible. We have some unbelievable things here. Self-driving. There's some great pieces here. We've got to seize this moment right now. Pittsburgh is positioned very well right now. It really is.
So what do you want us to do? So give us one piece of advice. You've played the long game. Okay? You've played the long game.
I want more people to embrace technology and this ecosystem that aren't in this ecosystem right now. Get more of their friends that are on the fringe or not really used to it. Get them more and more excited about it. When you're in San Francisco and you're at a restaurant, you can hear everyone talking about their next idea and their deal that they're working on and this next adventure. It's not in our DNA right now. We've got to get it in the water more here. More people have to be excited about technology here.
So you hiring? Are you hiring people? You've got people.
We are hiring. You know, we're hiring.niche.com. We're 130 today. We're probably going to get up to about 160 people by the end of the year. Engineers, product, marketing, sales. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely hiring right now. We've onboarded about 15 people completely remotely right now. But yeah, we're leaning into it right now for sure.
Okay, so you got lots of different kinds of jobs too, which is exciting. So it's not just the technical jobs that you're looking for. So someone on the chat named Bobby Zapalis had called you something. So, you know, just something about a goat. So I don't know if you wanted to make a comment about that or not.
I think GOAT is just a joke of greatest of all time. I think he's always been a champion and a supporter of mine. And I think that, you know, I appreciate Bobby. He's awesome. It's always been a pleasure working with him. And, you know, he and I have been collaborators for a long time. He's a Pittsburgher. I'm a San Franciscan that's been here now for 20 years. he's a good friend, and it's a pleasure to always have Bobby's support.
Right. And so we've had Bobby on the show, and Bobby is someone that I think is trying to address what you talked about, is trying to find some new ways for people to get involved in the ecosystem and invest in a way that perhaps is a little bit more clever and perhaps for some feels a little bit more less risk averse. So he is trying. So I want to make sure that people understand that your whole point, that he is there trying. No excuses. So you heard it here, people. You heard it from Luke Skurman. A guy who's played the long game, will probably be up to 200 people by the end of next year, I would imagine. But it's not just the people. It's about investing in Pittsburgh and investing in the opportunity that's here. So we just had an opportunity to talk with the founder and CEO of Mitch, which is probably equivalent to Yelp in the space of K through 12, as well as colleges and neighborhoods. If you don't know anything about it, go to the website, tell your friends. And why? Because it's right here in Pittsburgh that he's building this, and he's helping to put us on the global map. And I can't thank all of you enough for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow talking about the Keystone Innovation Zone programs that are still available in the state of Pennsylvania, and we'll get some expertise around how to apply for those if you're in the most earliest stages. And Luke, my hat's off to you and your team for the work that you're doing. Continue to stay safe. We are going to continue to have conversations with you and make sure that we right here in the backyard are celebrating the success of your company. So,
thank you. I really appreciate it, Audrey. I appreciate you and your entire team's support, helping to shine a good light on everything that we're doing right now. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you tomorrow.